Hey guys, welcome to today's market snapshot session. My name is Samson Mzera, and I'll be taking you through how the week has been and what to expect during this, especially next week. You know that it's going to be a very quiet week, but you're going to be looking at basically a recap of what has happened this week because it's been very, very dramatic. A final day of trading. Let's go, yeah. So it is the final day of the year, or not the final day of the year, but the final analysis sessions. I'm sure next week people will be the market will be very slow. So we need to have a look at, especially what has happened this week. So I know we talked a lot about Euro and GU and how it was going to pan out, and the setups we talked about yesterday. Some of them played out really nicely. Yeah, yesterday we did a market snapshot and we talked about AUD and Euro. So we'll be having a recap of those. Just a minute while I share this link. Yeah, so in the meantime, just it's good to also pick up notes on how we go about analysis. And yesterday was a very good example of that. So just a minute. This one, just 1 minute. Let's see if this one is okay. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the calendar, and then from there. Now, we'll be usually during the market snapshots, we'll start from fundamental analysis and then go to technical analysis, and then it'll be a back and forth between the two. So it's important to know how we do so and how it's fared, especially for yesterday's trading setups. I hope those guys who were there were able to take advantage of the opportunity that presented itself during the news. So let's quickly start off with the calendar over here. See how this one is going to go. So 2 weeks ago, or was it a week ago, we reviewed the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, and the Fed. And we said these guys are in sort of a policy collision. The Fed, remember, has been tightening, and that has been making the dollar very strong. But as of the comments they made last week and actually the other month, it looks like that period is coming to an end and the dollar might finally start weakening. I hope we remember talking about that. I think it was 2 snapshots ago. Yeah. And we said that means with confirmation of last week, because last week the ECB came out and said they were still tightening and they're still looking to tighten. And the Bank of England also said they were tightening. So it made us reason that Euro is going to be strong against the dollar, and pound is going to be strong against the dollar, and the dollar is going to be weakening. Yeah. And we sort of had that discussion. And then yesterday, was it this week? Earlier this week, we had the CPI coming in. Yeah, inflation for the UK. And the inflation was very low. Yeah. And this gave us some confusion because we know our theme is on the long term, GBPUSD is an uptrend. So it gave us some confusion, and we even saw GBPUSD trending lower for some time. Yeah. And during the discussion on Thursday, I hope I'm audible. During the discussion on Thursday, yesterday morning, we said, now because the news are conflicting, we need to know any small thing that tips the scale in favor of either is what we're going to use. Yeah, that's what we said yesterday. And we were relying on GDP. Clearly say that unemployment claims come in every week, so it doesn't have that big of an impact. So we'll try and look at the GDP for our guide, for it to be our guide. And indeed, we say that if the GDP comes in higher than expected, we will continue selling the pound. If the GDP comes in lower than expected, as it has, we will play out with Australian dollar. because also Australian dollar, they are still looking to tighten. We went over the news for that one. And what happened at 4:30? The announcement was made, and the the GDP for the US came in lower than expected at 4.9%. So if you had a look at this chart, if you're playing out AUDUSD, just a minute, I see if I can open this from my phone also. So this was the chart, and this was yesterday. So this was the whole of yesterday over here. Yeah, this move. Just a minute. Let's see if, yeah. Usually have to. Yeah, okay. So that's what we discussed. So we said if we have negative news for the dollar, we look at AUDUSD. If we have positive news for the dollar, we continue selling. And these were arrows we made yesterday. We continue selling pound. But luckily, the GDP was lower than expected, and we had a nice move on Australian dollar. And remember, we said this technical analysis will hold if we continue seeing news that is in line with this trend. And indeed, for those guys who like trading breakout and retests, yesterday we had that retest over here. And when we were speaking, the market was here. So some of us were anticipating a slightly lower move before it going higher, but that didn't happen. But then today and yesterday, we had another breakout from the previous high and a retest. Now you can see how things are just falling into place, technicals and fundamentals when you combine them. So a retest and then it's going. Now, if you're not so comfortable over here, you can look for a deeper pullback on the charts. You can look for deeper pullback so that you have another opportunity to start looking for buying opportunities either here or all the way down here, but most likely here because you have this imbalance to be filled at the moment. Yeah. So that's one way to look at it. Now, this other one provided some relief. We didn't feel this imbalance all the way. Once the news came in, we had some sort of relief and prices went up. Now, technicals might sometimes contradict, and you can see here, you can say that this still has room to go lower. Remember, this is an imbalance. Remember, this is an imbalance, and this is some sort of supply zone. So you can say that this still has room to go lower. So you need to be very careful when looking at this GBPUSD. In most cases, if there is conflicting sentiment, we end up with a sideways trend. So that's always a possibility to occur. But for me, I think I will be comfortable. Let me clean this chart now. I'll be comfortable looking for buys because I'm already seeing, I'll be comfortable looking for buys when I'm seeing something like this forming at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, this looks like a flag, some sort like that. So I need to see evidence of a clear break, a clear retest, then that's when I look for continuation because long-term sentiment-wise, there's still a possibility of us going lower. If we go below the lower side of this channel, then I can tell clearly we are going for this supply zone over here. So you have this section over here that you can look for. Yeah, that's GBPUSD for you. Yeah, the next one, AUDUSD. We've already talked about this. EURUSD, this one is clear. This one is clear. It's just in an uptrend. It wasn't really affected because we didn't have more news from Europe and ECB. So this one just kept on going as it is. So you can see there's that deviation between how GBPUSD is behaving, especially on the H1, and how EURUSD is behaving on the H1. This one looks more like an uptrend than its counterpart, GBPUSD. Yeah. What else did we have for the session? Today we're expecting more numbers to come in. So today we're expecting OPCE to come in. Again, we need confirmation for our technicals. Yeah, we need confirmation for our technicals. And that is, if I'm looking for a weak, if I'm looking for, let's start with a strong dollar. If I'm looking for a strong dollar, I need to see a higher reading here than 0.2, and that's at 430. And if indeed it clocks a higher reading, that is a stronger dollar, then the most obvious candidate to play will be this channel, yeah, because we're already on the upper side of the channel, so there is room to do that. There is room to do that if we have a very strong reading coming out, and that means a strong dollar, that means a weak pound. Yeah, that's the best candidate to play. However, if we continue seeing signs of weakness, same play as yesterday, look for a setup that's makes more sense. And in that case, it might be Australian dollar or even euro, because euro hasn't had any negative news. So let me just, euro hasn't had any negative news. No, it keeps on. Yeah. So this might be another good play to look for. How can zoom in and start to look for opportunities, at least lower buying opportunities, if we have weak, if we have strong news. That is, you can zoom in and start to look for sort of opportunities along these zones to see if there's anything that you can pick up that you can continue trading with. So those are the two setups. I think this is the last active day of the year. We might be very quiet going forward. Let's see what else is there. So long term, we still expect the dollar to be weak. And if the dollar is weak, then we do expect that commodity currencies, that is Norwegian krona and Australian dollar, are going to continue to outperform the dollar. Those ones we kind of have some hope for. The other ones, pound and euro, it depends on how the economies are faring on. So it might be a bit more tricky. So you can see we are clear for next week, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, all the way, I'm guessing, until the start of the year. So this is the last session we've had. What are the key items we can pick? If you watch the last three snapshots, including this one that I've done, we usually start with some fundamental theme. What's the major theme that you can use to trade? Yeah, that theme has to be confirmed on the chart. Yeah, maybe you can be thinking something and it's even off. Yeah, and we said our theme, it was 2 snapshots ago, was next year we might start seeing a weak dollar. And indeed, if you go to the daily chart, you can see that euro has been gaining against the dollar. You can see that even pound on the daily has been gaining against the dollar. So that theme was sort of confirmed, and we were able to explain the reason why that was the case. Yeah, that's usually the starting point. Your general theme, technical theme, and your general fundamental themes should be aligning. That's where we started. And then once they align, then now you come to the day-to-day news. Anything that is in line with the theme gives you a better opportunity to follow the trend. Anything that is not in line with that theme, for example, if the theme is strong, or sorry, the theme is weak dollar, then any news that comes in and continues to perpetuate a weak dollar means an opportunity to continue trading in that direction. Anything that comes against that theme then gives you a pullback on the charts. That's basically what we've been doing. If you carefully listen to the last three market snapshots, yeah, and that's what we'll continue doing for 2024. Now, we talked about, I'm seeing a question on USD or GBP, JPY. So the overall, again, if you go to the last market snapshot, or is it the other one, we discussed in depth about Japanese yen. Yeah, and why we think we might see a major sort of correction in 2024 as the year plays out. So if we expect the yen to be strong, let me see. Just a minute. if you expect the yen to be strong, which also explains why we've been seeing this downtrend. But remember, the news that came up with the yen was that they are still considering loose monetary policy. Was it? No. No. Yeah, better. On H4. Yeah, remember they're still considering loose monetary policy, which might be a very tough case to try and say this is going to continue going lower. Why? Because things might be changing and we might see some reprieve. So be very careful in trying to continue trading along this trend. Even you can see from the chart itself that we've had a slight change of character on this market structure over here. So you can tell that we've broken the previous high and we've formed change of character and we've had a new higher high. And that might be confirming with the fundamentals. That meeting that we had with the BOJ earlier was, I think it changed things. So we might start seeing like a pause in the Japanese yen strength before it continues its strength. So I'll be very careful, especially with GBP JPY, attempting to trade lower for this trend. Maybe when I see something like a confirmation that we've strictly broken and maintained the initial. So if we strictly break this level and maintain our trajectory lower, then chances are whatever happened and the comments, the market isn't really up for them. That's when you'll continue looking for sales. So this might be a crucial level to look at over here. This is the 1 hour chart. So this is a very important level to look at. But what the market is saying right now is we might be seeing a reversal of this trend, which is okay. Targets being here. The first one I'd be looking for, and the other target will be here. This is on over here. Yeah, so those are areas where you can just scout for if indeed we start seeing this going up. But I'll only be convinced this is a sell if we break. Yeah. Again, it's going to be a very quiet week. There's also a probability that this will just be sideways as we end the year. So it might just even move sideways. Yeah. Okay. So we've looked at the measures. Let's look at gold. Okay, so gold, I was bullish on this for the past 2 days. I think I closed my position, but we've been looking at the possibility of tensions in the Middle East. We've been looking at the weak dollar. All those factors are just piling up for gold to move higher. Yeah, remember when there are tensions in the global geopolitics and everything, then usually gold tends to go higher. And the tensions at the moment is the shipping routes. I know Yemen has blocked ships from entering the Red Sea. That's already tension. And ships have been going around with South Africa. So I think that is providing a case for a bit of fear in the markets. And that's why we've had gold being supported at elevated levels. We've broken this range that we were in, and it still looks like there might be some room to go higher. Let's just wait for the core PCE to confirm that. Again, same style. Have a theme and then wait for the daily news to either confirm or reject that theme. That is, if we see a lower core PCE, then it's going to make it easier for gold to continue moving higher. If you see a higher core PCE, then now you have to start reevaluating what else you can trade for the day. I hope that makes sense. Going to keep it very brief. It's the last session of the year. Hopefully, we've had a good year, especially if you've not been profitable. It's good to just learn, and following the snapshot sessions is a good way to do that. Yeah, and I think we can call it a session. We will have, I don't know when you're resuming the sessions, probably the first week of January. I think that's when we'll be resuming the sessions. Other than that, enjoy your holidays and trading days. Sometimes it's good to take a break. If you spend some time away from the charts, a bit of time away from the charts, a lot of guys do that. If not, quiet markets are the best to trade technicals, especially when there is no news. it's the best time to try and trade technical. So there are also good trading opportunities in a quiet market for those of us who are still going to be trading next week. That's one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, so other than that, enjoy the rest of the trading day. And next week, if you'll be trading, also it's a good week to look for technicals because there's no news really affecting your decisions. That is, if it's trend following, you just continue with the trend. And yeah, I think we can call it a session. Thanks for attending today's session. See you in the next market snapshots series.